about 8 months since we've talked to each other, and since then, so many things have changed with the St. Louis Blues. A new GM, a lot of pieces gone, new pieces are in, and I think the future is bright.
This is the Harry Loomis Show.
Welcome back to the Harry Loomis Show. It has been way too long since we've talked. My name is Harry Loomis. We are still here in Columbus, Ohio, and we're here to talk once again about the St. Louis Blues. Since we last talked about them, things went off the rails pretty quickly in the 2025-2026 season. They rectified it. They sold at the deadline. I thought they did a great job getting rid of Braden Shen, getting a first round pick, a prospect, and Jonathan Drouin. Out of that, trading Justin Falk to the Detroit Red Wings, getting a first round pick for them, which was a steal along with Justin Hall. That was the Blues' direction at the trade deadline. Everyone was really mad at them until about the last hour because they hadn't done anything. Tried to move Colt Parayko to Buffalo for a first and redeem Merca, but he used his no trade clause. And then at the 11th hour, the Blues did make those Shen and Falk trades. But then the wildest thing happened. The Blues could not be stopped after that. They really caught fire to end the season, ended up finishing 11th last in the league. So instead of getting in position to draft one of those blue chip prospects like maybe an Ivar Stenberg in the top two, even in that 5 to 8 range, getting one of those stud defensemen like a Chase Reed or a potential center prospect like a Vigo Bjork. They fall back a tier. They keep the 11th pick, but now they have the 15th pick from Detroit, the 29th pick from Colorado via the Islanders. Brock Nelson trade, the Blues got that pick in. And they didn't stop there. July 1st marked the start of Alex Steen's tenure as the St. Louis Blues GM. Doug Armstrong moved up in the organization, but he didn't go quietly. Two really big deals the week of the draft. First, on Tuesday, after so many rumors, after so much turmoil, after so much conversation around the player, Jordan Kyrou has been traded to the Washington Capitals. In exchange, the Blues get a first round pick that was 15th overall. More on that in a little bit. They got a prospect, Milton Gastrin, who was a second round pick in 2025, and top six piece Connor McMichael, who is a year removed from having over 50 points at the Washington Capitals when they had their really good season in 24-25. A little bit of a down year this past season, but a young player fits the Blues timeline perfectly. I think he's going to slot into the Blues second line left wing role perfectly. So now the Blues have picks 11, 15, 16, and 29. And I think everyone knew that there was no chance in hell the Blues were going to pick all 4 times in the first round. No one knew exactly what Doug Armstrong was going to do. Was he going to try to trade up? Was he going to try to get a guy like Bowen Byram, who the Blues have been linked to for a couple years now? Were they going to get a second line center? There were all sorts of rumors. And then the Blues keep the 11th pick. They pick Tynan Lawrence, a center from Boston University. A really good pick. I think he's going to fit into the Blues middle six tremendously. He's a guy that can play in all situations. He's got a great 200-foot game. He's a great skater. Didn't have the greatest start to his NCAA career, but there's nothing to be concerned about there, in my opinion. He's going to continue to season, and I think he will be a fixture on the Blues in a couple years to come. But then at pick 15, the Blues pull the trigger, trading picks 15 and 29 to the Anaheim Ducks and getting Mason McTavish. McTavish is a bit of a polarizing player. The third overall pick in 2021 has had some really good production in his career. Over an 82 game pace, he has scored at a 21 goal, 28 point or 28 assist, 49-point pace in 304 games with the Anaheim Ducks, who for the most part have been a really, really bad team. No disrespect. But last year they finally turned a corner. A lot of young pieces, really taking a step. Cutter Gauthier scoring over 40 goals. Leo Carlsson becoming a stud, and that team made the second round of the playoffs. But Mason McTavish didn't have the biggest role on that team. He wasn't bad, 41 points in 75 games, but that wasn't the McTavish that fans had come to expect. There was some frustration there. He doesn't have a full 200-foot game. His defense has struggled over the years, and he did not get off to a good start this year. Like well reported, got off to a really bad start. That was because he was in a contract dispute with the Ducks. Didn't start training camp on time. Didn't really mesh with Joel Quenneville, but he did sign. He's at $7 million over the next multiple seasons. Look, the Blues traded Jordan Kyrou, a guy who fans are very torn on, a polarizing player who doesn't always give a consistent effort. They acquire a guy who Ducks fans are very torn on, who is known for not always giving a very consistent effort. I am bullish on McTavish. You don't get picked third overall out of nowhere. He fits a need for the Blues. I think a change of scenery is going to be good for him. The Blues have had success with guys like this, not necessarily with the work ethic issue, but middle six pieces. Think about Braden Shen. Think about Pavel Buchnevich. Relatively young players coming in here. Hey, your team didn't believe in you. We do believe in you. We're going to give you the kick in the ass you need. You're going to play in our top six. We believe in you. Go see what you can do. Shen had his best year of his career, his first year as a Blue. Buchnevich had the best years of his career, his first 2 years as a Blue. I think McTavish can be a similar player. He's a big body. He fits the Blues type of game. 6'1", 219 pounds. Really hard to move in front of the net. Good net front finishing ability. Great in the shootout as well. Fits a lot of holes that the Blues have. And I really like the center depth now. Robert Thomas, Mason McTavish, Dalibor Dvorsky. Could even put Pius Suter in the fourth line. That's a really expensive fourth line center, but you have options there. It's becoming, I don't want to say a strength, but it's for sure becoming less of a weakness, the Blues center depth. Then the Blues with the 16th pick go a little bit off the board. A lot of people were expecting Ethan Belchet's shouldn't have slipped to 16 to begin with. A lot of people thought that would be the Blues pick at 16, but it was not. They elect for Maddox Dagenet, who is a big player, really fast skater, has a scoring touch. I think he's going to be a really exciting piece for the Blues. He was drafted as a center. I don't know if he'll translate to a center in the NHL. It's kind of like in the MLB draft. You always draft a shortstop. You can never have too many shortstops because typically, if you're drafting a shortstop out of high school, it's because he's the best athlete. You can move him to second base, you can move him to third base, you can move him to right field, you can move him to left field. You're getting the athlete, you're getting the versatility. I think that's what the Blues are getting with Maddox Dagenet. These kids are 17, 18 years old. Who knows how they're going to develop? The pieces are there. I like the Dagenet pick. And then day two of the draft, the Blues fix a little bit of the defensive depth. Brandon Carlo is traded from the Toronto Maple Leafs in exchange for two third-round picks. Carlo, I think, is going to slide into that third pair defensive role pretty well. Not sure who will play with. Maybe a Theo Lindsay, maybe a Tyler Tucker. He's a guy who's been there. He's done that. Didn't have a good run in Toronto whatsoever, but played for Jim Montgomery in Boston. Clearly, the Blues don't bring him in if Montgomery doesn't like the player, and it gives Adam Yurchek some protection. He doesn't need to be forced into that role in the NHL level next year if he's not ready for it. If he blows everyone out of the water in training camp and earns a spot, awesome. No one's going to complain, but there's no pressure for him. Develop at your own pace, and if you're ahead of the game, great. If you're not, we're not going to rush you. That's what I think this move represents. He's only got a year left. You're not going to notice him. I like the Carlos pickup. And that's another point with Mason McTavish, too, is that the Blues brought in Greg Cronin, the former Anaheim Ducks coach. Didn't have the best reputation with the players, but he got two really good years at McTavish. Again, like Carlo playing for Montgomery. If you're bringing in this guy, you're going to talk to the coaches and everything like that. And I can't imagine Cronin had anything but good things to say about McTavish. So there's a good article from Jeremy Rutherford about what the Anaheim Ducks coaches think about Mason McTavish and how they think he's going to perform in St. Louis. No concerns on my end. And then not much on the free agency front. The Blues bring in Ross Johnston, who's an enforcer in every sense of the word from Anaheim. 3 years, $2 million. They bring in Dylan Dubé on a 1 year deal. He was in AHL Springfield last year. He's going to be a fourth line option for the Blues. And then Oscar Sundqvist, who I thought was not going to return, is brought back. They announced that this past weekend. A 1 year deal. It's a two-way contract, $800,000 for the NHL level, I think $300,000 for the AHL level. A lot of people don't like this contract because the wheels are gone on Oscar Sundqvist. He was never a fast, mobile player to begin with. He's had multiple knee issues. The wheels are really just gone there. But there are very few people in the league who love the St. Louis Blues more than Oscar Sundqvist. I think this is a guy who is going to bring a good energy into training camp. He's going to compete for a spot. I don't think he'll get one, but in the AHL playing under Steve Ott, you can't ask for many better veteran presences to show you how it's done. A two-time Stanley Cup champion because he did get in games with the 2016 Pittsburgh Penguins. A guy who shows you how to be a professional, a guy who shows you what it means to be a Blue, a guy who shows you what it's like to really care about the team that you're a part of. I like Oscar Sundqvist. I think he's good for young players to play around. Now, you guys already know all of this. This isn't news by any means. It's July 13th. Free agency is almost 2 weeks old. The Jordan Kyrie trade happened about 3 weeks ago at this point. None of this is news. We're just going over it. The question is, did the Blues improve enough this offseason to become a playoff team, to become a favorite for that wild card spot? Because I don't think you're jumping into those top three spots. I think those are pretty confidently Colorado, Nashville, Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota. Did the Blues improve this offseason? Yes, 100%. I like their top six more than I've liked it in a long time. Holloway, Thomas, Snuggerud, McMichael, who's under arbitration, by the way. He does not have a contract yet. Not worried about that. McTavish, and whoever you put on that second line right wing spot. Is it Buchnevich? Is it Neighbors? Is it does someone like Jonathan Berggren earn that spot? Does someone like Otto Stenberg earn that spot? I don't know who that's going to be. That is a very strong top six. Five pieces there at least are very, very good and they're versatile. I think all five of those guys can give you 20 to 25 goals minimum. I think Holloway and Snuggerud are going to be pushing 30. And not to mention just the fact that this team is so young. Guys like Snuggerud, like Holloway, like Dvorsky should be taking a step this year, and that's just on the offensive side. I still don't know how I feel about the defense. Colton Parayko, there are so many rumors about him potentially getting traded. He's still here. Philip Broberg is your undisputed number one, and I have no concerns about him. He is the Blues' best defenseman by a mile right now, and I think he's only going to get better. I'm excited to see what Theo Lindstein can do. I'm excited to see what Logan Mayu can do. He was so bad to start the season last year, and I was really impressed with him the second half of the year. I think he's going to continue to improve. I would like to see him get some power play opportunities as well. And then who knows with Cam Fowler how if he's going to start to fall off with that $6 million contract coming in. Who knows with Tyler Tucker? Who knows with Brandon Carlo? He's going to be pretty stable. The Blues are a better team this year. I don't know if they're good enough for me to confidently say they're going to be in the playoffs. Look, I was bullish on the Blues last year. I was really high on them. I liked the Logan Mayu trade. I still do. I love the Pew Suter signing. I still do, but he's not a 20 goal scorer. He was a 25 goal scorer the last year in Vancouver. That's not his game, and that's not what the Blues need him to do, and that's okay. I just don't know what to expect with goaltending either. Joel Hofer is your number one. He's never been a number one before. He started the year really bad last year, and then after Thanksgiving, he was one of the best goaltenders in the league. Is he going to have another phase like that this year? And if he is Jordan Binnington still around? And is he going to be able to pick up the slack? Because he struggled mightily last year and really didn't get much better. I think that's going to be one of the big things it comes down to is the goaltending because the Blues don't have a lot of depth beyond them. You're still going back to Thomas Greiss was the last Blues goaltender not named Joel Hofer, Jordan Binnington. They've been really lucky with, for the most part, performance and especially health. Having, what is it, 3 years now of really no injuries with goaltending is pretty remarkable. A lot of things also simply went wrong for the Blues last year. They just couldn't finish. A lot of guys just struggled out of the gate and didn't get much better. A lot of injuries as well. Holloway got hurt. Snuggerud got hurt. That really slowed down their seasons. But once they got going, I mean, that top line, they all played at a 100-point pace at the last 15 or so games of the season. I don't think they're obviously not as bad as they were to start the year, but they're also not nearly as good. I think if you have Thomas in the 85-point range, if you have Holloway in the 75 to 80-point range, Snugger maybe the 65, 70-point range, because I think he is going to take another step. I think you're good with that. I think that's a pretty good middle ground. The second line is just such a mystery because Connor McMichael, Mason McTavish have never played with the Blues, never played with each other, never played with whoever their right wing is going to be. So you don't know what to expect. They're both guys coming off down years, looking to prove a little bit of something. I hope they do, obviously, but we just can't be too sure. There's no way to know what to expect at this point. And I think the biggest thing is that the Central Division is just so strong right now. You got the top three teams. Dallas, who I think got worse this offseason. Colorado, who's still going to be good. Minnesota, who I think is still improving, even though they didn't do a whole ton this offseason. And Utah, who I think is going to be really good this year. They started to show it. They're extremely young. I like some of the moves they made. Getting Sebastian Cossa in particular, if he hits early on, that's a big issue. Their goaltending is going to be fixed. So right there, you're competing for fifth place in the Central Division, and the Pacific sucks that you're probably going to get five teams from the Central in, but man, that's a tough spot to be competing for. And I said the Pacific Division sucks. I think Vegas and Edmonton are the only two objectively good teams in that division. The Sharks really impressed last year. Who knows if they're going to take another leap this year, maybe take a step back. Who knows? No one knows what to expect. The Kings were probably the biggest frauds in the league last year, with all due respect. I'm not sure how they even made the playoffs with only 22 regulation wins. But I kind of like what they did this offseason as well. I just think the Blues are still in a little bit of that no man's land with what they want to do with their team. They're obviously taking the right steps. I think the guys they brought in are a positive step in that direction. But there's still questions around Colton Parayko. You tried to move him. Are you going to continue to try to move him? If things hit the fan this season, are you going to look to move him again? Jordan Binnington's the last year of his contract. What is going to be your plan with him? Does he want to be a starter somewhere else? Is he willing to take a discount to stay here? Do you have a backup? Is Will Cranley going to be ready if Jordan Binnington gets moved? How many games is Joel Hofer going to get? Is he ready for 52 games this season? That'd be a jump from the 41 or so he had this past year. There's just a lot of unknown with this team, and I think there's still going to be questions that Alex Steen has to answer. And I think the first one is, what are they going to do with the forwards? They have so many forwards right now. I didn't even mention the logjam, especially in the bottom six, with guys like Bergeron, with guys like Stenberg, with guys like Dubé, with guys like Jack Finley, that are going to compete for spots. You got about 15 guys going for 12 spots on a roster. I didn't even mention Justin Carboneau, who scored 50 plus goals with the Armada last year. What's the plan with him? I don't see a role for him in the NHL this season unless he blows everyone out of the water and earns one. But then you got to figure out what to do. Are you sending Otto Stenberg down? Is he going to be your Zachary Bolduc, where it's just a numbers game? He's not going to get a spot to start the season in the NHL, but once he gets a spot, maybe he sticks on that third line and you can't move him off of it. I just don't know. Do you move a guy like Pius Suter if you don't need a $4 million center to play on the fourth line? There's a lot of questions that the Blues have to answer right now, and I don't know what to expect, but there's not a lot you can answer until you get to training camp. So I guess I'm going to take a more conservative approach this year. Last year, I was really bullish on them to start the season. I thought that they were going to be a playoff team without a shadow of a doubt. I thought they kind of had the inside track on that first wild card. After last season, I'm not going to dive too far into it. Like I said, the Blues weren't as bad as the first 60 games showed, and they weren't as good as the last 22 games showed. I think they're somewhere in the middle. I don't know what that looks like. Is that a 92 point team? And if so, that gets you in a weak year. That doesn't get you in a strong year for the conference, like in 2025 when they got 96 points and were the second wild card. There's just a lot of uncertainty with the team right now, but I do think they are in a better place. I think they are moving in the right direction, and that's all you can ask for. They're not a cup contender yet, but if these pieces hit, which I'm pretty confident that they will, who knows? Maybe they can take a step in that direction this year. But that's going to do it for this one. Sorry it's been so long since I uploaded. Really trying to get back into it. This is my favorite thing to do. Hoping to have some more free time to upload some videos when the time calls for it. Because like I said, I love doing this and I miss it. And this is something I love to pursue full time. So you got to start somewhere. So we're going to keep this going. So I thank you guys once again for watching the Harry Loomis Show. And we'll see you soon.
This is the Harry Loomis Show.